What's up, everybody? This is Dave here with episode 7 in our Let's Develop. We are developing an algorithmic and interactive trading bot, and in this episode we're going to be doing two things. So it's going to be split up into two portions. The first portion is going to be fairly simple. What we're going to do is we're going to get a list of all tickers or all symbols that can be traded on either the NASDAQ or on the New York Stock Exchange. The second part of this video is going to be using FinViz to actually get a watch list of stocks that we want to watch for the incoming trading day. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to go ahead and first we're going to create a new Python file, and we're going to name this as get symbols.py, and in here we need to import a few things. The first thing that we need to import is going to be pandas as PD, and then import pandas data reader as PDR, and then we need to import NumPy. We're going to put that as NP, and that's actually it. So there is one thing I want to actually look into, and that is using Jupyter, which is like an interactive Python development shell within Visual Studio Code. So in order to do that, we do a hashtag, so like we're doing an inline comment, but then we do %%, and then that gives us our Jupyter cell. So at this point, we're going to do a df equals pdr.iex, or sorry, it's pr get IEX symbols, and we don't need to use the IEX library for this because there's no data being used within our API key. So this is like completely free through Pandas Data Reader. So let's go ahead and we'll run this. And this is going to kind of pop up with a kernel and PDR. Okay, we'll need to do it up here as well. Alright, so it's going to tell us that, do you want to open up a new interactive window? Let's do no. Okay, and then we'll run this. And then here, we're going to, we got the df and df.shape. Alright, so you can see here that we have roughly about 10,275 different ticker symbols. So let's take a look at kind of what we're dealing with. So you can see we have a couple of columns here. We have symbol, and these are our ticker symbols. The name, so these are the corporate or the business names. The dates that, that's today, is enabled, type, IEX ID. We don't need the date, is enabled, type, or IEX ID. So from here, we're going to drop those columns, and that'll be date, is enabled, type, and IEX ID, and that will be the column access, and in place equals true. Okay, and then I want to go ahead and rename these columns just because. So that's df.rename and columns is equal to, and then symbol to symbol, name to corporate name. Okay, and in place is true. Okay, and then finally, if we take a look, I know in this list there are quite a few instances where they have a ticker symbol, but there's no corporation name. So in this case, I'm going to do a df corp name, because we're looking at if any symbols don't have a corporate name, and then we're going to replace with an empty string, or we're going to replace that empty string with a numpy nan value, and in place is true. And then at this point we can just do a drop NA, and then we'll do the subset on the corporate name, and then in place is equal to true. Alright, so if we run that, df.rename, there's no period on that. IEX is not. Okay, I see. So the IEX ID, that's lowercase IEX, uppercase I, lowercase d. I had a uppercase d. So if we rerun that, you can see that we don't get any issues. And then now let's go ahead and do a df.shape. So you can see that brought our total symbols list down to reasonable levels of 8,941. So we can go ahead and actually get rid of all of these. Delete. Okay, so we know all of this works. And now at this point, all we need to do is actually just do another run cell here, and then we also, one other thing we need to import is our Mongo functions as mf. Okay, I'm going to clear all of this out. Let's see, is there an easier way to clear? Yes. Okay, that's fine. So we'll run that. Perfect. And then records. And this will be the database name. So if we look into Trello, so that will be general. DB general. And then the collection name, so that'll be COL symbols. Yeah, that's fine. And then the data is DF. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this. And then we're going to open up, what is that? Our MongoDB Compass, just to make sure that everything has been loaded. And we need to get our URI. Connect. Alright, so we have our general database, our collection of symbols, and yeah, so we've got a whole lot here. As you can see, there's 8,941, so that is great. Alrighty, so this is finished up, and I'm going to go ahead, just pause the video here, and we'll go on to the next section, which is actually using FinViz to get our watch list. Alright, and I'll be right back. Hey, welcome back everybody. So in this second part of the episode, what we're going to do is we're going to use a website that you can see up on my screen called FinViz, and we're going to use this to get a list of ticker symbols that we can use to develop a watch list in our Python application. So in order to actually parse this website though, what we need to do is we need to use a different library called BeautifulSoup in order to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just copy this pip install, and then I'm going to bring up our Visual Studio Code, and in here I'm just going to paste that, and that'll install BS4. So I'm also going to go ahead and actually copy that into our requirements.txt file as well, so that way when we deploy this, it'll be there as well. Alright, so BeautifulSoup has been installed. I'll go ahead and clear that. And so now let's go ahead and actually create a new file, and we'll name this file as stock screener. Be nice if I learned how to spell, right? Alright. And then we'll go ahead and import BS4. Actually, we need from BS4 import BeautifulSoup as BS, and that's not the BS that you're thinking of, trust me. Alright, and another thing that we need to do is BeautifulSoup, what it does is it parses through web pages in order to get the HTML. So in order to get the web page, we need another library here called URL lib, dot request, and then from that we're going to import URL open as well as request. And a part of, let me bring this back up here. So a part of BeautifulSoup in that it'll be parsing this web page. And as you can see here, it's got sh price underscore u10. So what's that? What is that saying? So that's saying in our screener we have prices under $10, and the target price 30% above price. This is like a high volume day trade. So all we need to worry about is this price. The reason being is that what we're going to do is we're going to look into our WeBull account, and we're going to get how much buying power or how much we have in the account in order to spend. So let's say we have $100. What we would do is in here we would put well, that's only custom, so let's just say under $50. And you can see in the URL it's changed to U50. So let's say we have $100 in our WeBull account. We don't want to be looking at like Tesla. You know, it's trading like $700 some. So why would we want that on our watch list if we can't even afford it? So in order to look into our account, we need to import WeBull, or is it from WeBull, import WeBull. I'm not sure why they did that, but it is what it is. And then we're going to go ahead and import our config file as CFG. And there's another file that I want to go ahead and create as well, because we're starting to get into static variables. And for my best practice, anytime I create a script or a game or anything, I always put static variables into a separate file. That way you don't have to look through, oh, well, I want to change this variable. What script did I put that variable in? All your static variables are in a single file. So we're going to name this as settings.py. And in our settings.py, we're going to add a couple of things here from FinViz. So if you look, when you sign up, it's a free account. When you sign up, you can actually use the screener, and then you can save your screener as a preset. So if we go here to screener, under presets, edit screens, you can see that I have a few different screeners loaded up. So we have momentum gap screener, and then this right here is basically the page. So let's go back. Alright, so you'll see once I start pulling this up. So let's do a FinViz, and then FV screener underscore URL. So that's FinViz screener, the URL. And then this is going to be, let's go back to our screener, do a preset. So that will be this portion right here. Alright. And then FV scanner. Okay, and the scanner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this as a dictionary because this is pretty much the very definition of a dictionary. You have the name, and then you have what it means. So let's go ahead and start creating that. So we'll do momentum gaps equals we really don't need the that part. So okay, and then the next one. What am I doing? All right, swing trade. I'm gonna do like a swing trade high float. So like a swing trade, what that is basically if you're predicting, so like yesterday, well, today's Sunday, so let's say Apple closed at $100 on Friday. What you're predicting is that on Monday or the next day, it'll be over $100. So that's what's called a swing trade. And you know, that could be over the weekend or during the weekdays. It's basically a trade that spans a couple days. And the float is basically how much outstanding. And short squeeze. So short squeeze, GME, AMC, you know, that scanner would actually pick on them or pick up on those. All right, and that is our dictionary. So, all right, and another thing we need to do is, because we're going to be parsing URLs, well, in our request, we need to add in a header into the request. That way it won't be forbidden by a website to alleviate bots and you know, bad stuff from taking down their website. So yeah, we're making a bot and this kind of goes through it, but it's fine. So I'm actually going to copy this. If you are curious about the header, you can actually find this on Google. Just do a Google search for Python URL headers, and you can just copy and paste just like I did. All right. And yeah, that is pretty much it for now on this settings file. So we'll close all of these down. All right, and then import settings. Okay, so next up, we're going to do a function called getScreener, and in here we're going to use our username, and that'll be from cfg.wb from WeBull it's not wanting to, okay, we have a syntax error. Why? That is why. So let's go back to our settings, and in a dictionary, you need to include commas. Alright. So let's go ahead and create this function, get screener. CFG. Our password, and then trading code. So the trading code under WeBull, it's actually labeled as MFA, multi something authentication. So, but I have it listed under trading code. So WB equals WeBull and WB dot login. That will be username, password, trading code. Alright, and so this will allow us to log in into our WeBull account. And once we log in, we want to actually get the details of our account. So we'll say account equals WeBull account, and turn account. So I want to just test this out because it's not coming up with the IntelliSense. Module config. No attribute. Okay, so Yeah, that's what I thought. So, it's not it. Okay, so it looks like it was actually an issue with me, and unfortunately, yeah, IntelliSense wasn't giving me the module information. So we can see it's actually still loading, so that's why. But that's fine. And you can see here everything that you can see under your account. Like for right now, I have SNDL at Sundial, and in here you should be able to see another position that I have as well. But these are all dictionaries and lists. So, with that said, I'm going to get a little bit more comfortable here. So now that we have our account up, we can get our price. So let me just go ahead and we'll do it down here instead. Return account. So if we look at account.get, and it's under account members, so let's go ahead and just print that out. Okay, so under account members, you can see that we have a list. The first one is the total market value, which that's the total market value of my entire portfolio. And the next one is my cash balance. So my cash balance is, don't laugh, the daily buying power. These are all going to be for like PDT rules. So we actually don't really need these because what I'll be able to do is actually add in PDT rulings into our application. And what PDT is pattern day trader. So what that means is you can't buy a stock and then sell it in the same day. If you do, that's one violation. And you're allowed 5 violations a week before you're restricted from trading for, I believe, 180 days. So anybody that starts stock trading keep that in mind. If your account is below $25,000 or below, you are held liable for PDT rules. So you have to keep a minimum account balance of $25,000 in order to day trade. So that can be done programmatically fairly easy because it's just our cash balance. Like anything above cash balance we can trade with. So your cash balance has to be $25,000 and you can day trade with anything above that. If I'm explaining that correct. I hope you understand. So now that we have this, so in the list always start at 0. So this is 0 and then this is 1. So we want 1, and then we need to get the value, and that should display 49 cents. Now this 49 cents, it is a string, but how I want this to operate, and we can actually include this into our settings. So let's do trading settings, max buying power percentage equals, and I'm going to do 50% to start with, so that will be 0.5. Yeah, we'll do a half. So your max buying power percentage is 50% of the portfolio, or 50% of your buying power. Am I making this up or what? Alright, so let's go back here. So in order to calculate that, what we need to do is we need to convert this to a float. And then we need to multiply that. So settings dot this is taking forever. Don't need that open. Buying power. So let's see what that returns. Okay, so that returned 24.5 cents. Now I want to actually round this. So that will be 2 decimal places. So 24 cents, perfect. All right, and now that we have 50% or whatever percentage of your account balance, we need to convert that to a string. Excellent. So now this stupid thing. Okay. So max price is equal to this. Okay. Alright, so anyways, moving on. I'm not gonna bother with it. That's the linting taking into effect. I would prefer if it was all in like one line, but you know, you take what you can get. So symbols is equal to an empty list, and from here, let's get rid of that. We're going to do a for URL builder, because we're building our URL in FV. FV scanner. Scanner. And so why am I putting all of these into the function is because I plan on calling this function in a different Python script. So FV scanner dot values. So for each dictionary value in our scanner, we're going to return that portion. So it's basically going to return this, and then it's going to return this. So we want our base URL is equal to URL builder, and we're going to split it with that sh price u. So at this point, it's going to look for this string within this value. So sh price u, it's going to split this. So this will be 0, and then this will be 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to split it again. So the 10 will be 0, and this comma and anything after the comma will be 1. So split, and then the start URL is going to be the base URL 0, and then our end URL is going to be base URL base underscore URL 1 dot split comma 1. So with that, we do our scanner URL, and that will be our start URL plus max price plus end URL, and then that will give us the u, in my case, u 0.24, which won't return anything. In order to test it out, I'll actually modify that in here to something else. So max price is equal to 10. After testing. Okay. And after testing, or sell some shares. Okay, moving right along. Our final URL is going to be FE screener URL plus FV scanner, or no, scanner URL, right? Yeah, right. URL. Okay, and then we need to submit a request to FinViz for the URL, and then we're going to request it using the headers of HDR is equal to settings.hdr and headers is equal to HDR. Okay. So that's the request. Now we need the response, and the response will be using BS, and you know what I mean, BeautifulSoup, not the other stuff, and that will be a response, and then for that response we're going to use the HTML parser. Okay, and then all of that. No, I'm wrong. Oops. Response is URL open request. Alright, yeah. And then our soup is the response. Oh, a little bit of work. I'm glad I actually tested this earlier. Alrighty, so going over this a little bit. If we look at, let's say, I believe it's under developer tools. Okay, in here you can start looking at all of these HTML brackets and all of this HTML, and eventually when you hover over it, you'll start getting like right here. Yeah, see, this is all CSS, so not really HTML. Frame source visibility. Yeah, these are all like iframes. So that's the thing with BeautifulSoup, is it's going to convert all of that into HTML. And if you view it, you'll start seeing the tables. So the tables is going to be under the soup, find all. And what we're looking for is the TD. And then class. It's basically a dictionary. Screener, body, table, and W. And then, so that's going to basically list all of those tables. So it's going to list this right here, and it's going to list this, and so forth. So that's almost 400, but yeah, it's only gonna, because I'm not going through, like I'm not parsing all of these pages, so it's only gonna return these 20. Oh. What was that? Swing high float. All right. Swing high float. Alrighty, so under the swing high float, you can see that we have a bunch of different pages. It's only going to return the 20. It's only going to return these. So, but let's get rid of this. And actually, let's organize it by volume. Yeah. Yeah, so basically the more volume you have, the more volatile it is. So it can swing up or down. So you can see rail, it had a 14% change, whereas PRQR, looks like it's a therapeutics, it had a 11.23% decline. So very volatile stocks. We'll copy that. And short high float. Yep. So you can see it added the organize by increasing or decreasing volume. And RSI, short interest, volume, change, and then 1 week performance. All right. We'll save. And back to Python. This is a Python video, right? So we need to, for S as in symbols, in tables, we are going to try to get the text as the string. And then if you don't use this, it's going to basically return, I believe it's an object, an HTML object, if I'm not mistaken. So we're actually just converting it to a string. And then we're going to split it. And then we're going to split that in with the A class. And that is equal to screener link href. It's a hyperlink to quote.ashtx_t is equal to, and then 1. Okay, and the next part will be to split it again. Text is equal to text.split, and then this is what is it? Amp _0. Alright, and that is going to give us the ticker symbol. So we do symbols.append text. Alright, and we've initialized our list, so it'll append correctly. Hey, and once it's all, we'll try it, but if it doesn't pull anything, like if it's completely empty, it'll pull an error. And typically you wouldn't use you don't want to use like try and accepts in like full-blown application. You're going to be selling applications. You want to, you can, but it's not recommended, I believe the saying is. In my case, I'm just going to use try and accept because it's much easier. Alright, and finally, we're going to do a set on this list. And what that does is if there's any duplicate symbols, it'll drop the duplicate symbols. And then we want to return that list. Right? Boom. Print. screener. Yeah. STR 10. Okay, and it is returning an empty list. So, why is that? The reason why is because that needs to go there. Hey, and this might take a while or not. And this is why it's a really good thing to use Jupyter, is because you can run like individual cells. So we can see that it is printing this. We know the URLs are fine. I must have typed something wrong in here. Right. Okay, let me try running this one more time here. I think I got it figured out. So I'm pretty sure I didn't have anything typed incorrectly in here. I think what was happening was for this URL builder, I had the symbols not indented correctly. So backspaced it, and now we are getting a list of stock symbols that we can then use to actually start developing our watch list. So we can go ahead and do this. So this is going to be our screener. All right, and yeah, that is pretty much it. So in this episode, we actually got through a whole lot. We created our settings file for any static URLs, and then from here, we also got all of the symbols from IEX, and then we created a new collection in our database, added all of the stock ticker symbols into that collection. So we now working with databases, and we also have developed our initial screener for our watch list. So next episode, we're actually going to start developing yet another function file that will actually start getting into technical indicators. And the first one, it'll actually probably be two different videos. One will be with technical indicators, and the other one will be with social or like sentiment values using social media as well as the news. And once we have that file, because basically all we're looking at is the only thing different is going to be the period. So if we're looking for daily values, 5-minute values, or 1-minute values, so we can go ahead and develop a function, or basically a group of nested functions to actually start getting all of that information. So, but we'll start on that in the next video. It may take a little while. I do want to go ahead and do a little bit of troubleshooting and whatnot just to make sure that I have everything correct, because I'm sure nobody wants to watch a 10-hour video. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say good day, good night, good afternoon, wherever you live. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're looking at starting your investing journey, I posted some links down below with both M1 Finance as well as WeBull. Give those a try. Or, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. You guys have a good night.